Hey, it is what it is. Jack of all spades, CLT, back like we never left. Once again, as always, I'm the beloved one, DJ Spellman. To my right, we got Banks on the beat.
Yes, sir. Banks on the beat.
Shout out Hempstead. You already know what it is. We got the boy Pride of Africa.
Pride of Africa in the building. Shout out Mozambique, Zimbabwe. Hey, South Africa, right. I'm tripping out there in South Africa.
Hey, true that, but we never gonna forget the Congo where you hail from.
That's true.
Special guest appearance. We got Big Rich Lopez.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody?
Boricua, Morena. Ya tu sabes.
Tu sabe. Half Boricua, non-Spanish speaking Lopez.
It's all good, though. It's all good. We're going to do it for you.
Yeah.
Then we got another special guest. Just witnessing the podcast. We got the boy Boog. Oh, Hey, fuck it. The boy Boog said he ain't got no mic, but he's here.
He's here.
Trust and believe me when I say that. So, first question is usually the question we always start off with. Who is Big Rich? The people want to know.
Who is Big Rich? I'm a 41-year-old father of 3, husband of 1.
Are you sure about those numbers?
It might have been reversed, but no, I'm from New York originally, and moved to Charlotte about 8 years ago. I always wanted to, kind of get into comedy or whatnot. All my friends always told me I was funny, but it's also your friends, so you never know. But just been here trying to figure out something to do with my spare time, or try to find any spare time, man.
All right. So when you say you hail from New York, what part?
I was born in Queens. I lived there till I was about 15 years old, and then I moved out to Long Island.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
In Suffolk County, I was out by. I lived in Smithtown, Kings Park, and Coram. My boy from Hempstead probably knows where all that is.
Yeah, y'all boys is out there.
Yeah, that's way out.
I'm a former Philly representative, so I always got love for up top. Like, even though I've been in the South for a minute, niggas know what it is.
Yeah, man. So I'm from New York originally, but we can't afford to live there anymore, man. It's too expensive.
Oh yeah. The South will show you love when it comes to them finances, as far as houses. Not so much apartments, but you can get a house for the cheap down here.
But the fucking heat, Jesus. Especially because this room feels like
a sauna.
Yeah. Could you close any more doors in here?
Actually, leave one open so we can get to the
The room in the window.
wondering. As far as the comedy scene here in Charlotte, what's your thoughts on it so far?
It's a lot better than a lot of people in bigger cities might think. There's the Comedy Zone out here is it's pretty big club. They got a lot of like feature acts and stuff that come through and do weekends. There's a couple open mics there. It's usually every Tuesday, and then there's another couple open mics around the city that are at like bars or little impromptu kind of places and whatnot. But you get a shot where you can kind of at least get on stage and do something at these open mics. And the Comedy Zone is actually a really nice venue to be at.
Okay, with the Comedy Zone, I'm sure most people have heard about that, but you alluded to some other bars and stuff that do like open mic nights and impromptu things. Where are these spots at for the people that want to know?
There's the Crown Station. It's in Noda. It's an odd venue for comedy, but they got it set up nice to where like you can actually get on a stage and do your thing. It's every Wednesday night. I think it's from 8:00, and anybody can sign up. Go up there and just say what's on your mind. You might go up there and bomb. You might go up there and make people laugh. It's usually a lot of comics there watching other comics do their material. So it's a lot of people.
Open run.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But it's not like you're practicing your material on just people in the crowd. You're practicing against people that are practicing as well. Then there's a spot called the Evening Muse. I forgot exactly where it's at.
Oh, that's noted too, I would say.
Yeah, it's a note, but they like their open mic is like you can go up there with a guitar. You can go up there and do some spoken word. You can go up there and freestyle, or you can go up there and tell comedy. You can kind of do whatever you want on certain nights. Some other nights is more geared towards comedy, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you spoke about the Comedy Zone.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like you've been a performer there.
I've been there before. Yes.
All right. So, what was your experience being up there on stage speaking to the people?
Initially, it's a lot of anxiety. But because when you go there, sorry,
as he takes a
getting
sip.
parched. My bad.
You good?
I'm trying to act like I'm on a fucking podcast. But now, when you sign up, you get a couple weeks out where you gotta start to prepare your material and know that you're gonna go up. They send you a video, like a private link, lets you know how the whole process goes. And then when you go there, you get there, you sign up, and then they give you your spot when you're gonna be there, like when you're going up. So you kind of know when you're gonna go. But the whole time you're there, you're just waiting, and you're trying to go over your jokes, you're trying to get ready, but in the back of your head, you're like, what the fuck am I doing here? You know? Like when I went up the last time there, when Ken was there, I'm like, Ken, he was there with his girl or whatever. My brother was there, my mother.
Hold on, talking about your mother was there.
My mother's funny as shit. That's,
She is. Funny lady.
My mom's was there, and I had a joke about her in my stand-up, but my wife, bunch of friends, and like in the middle of it, I'm reading through my jokes, because I had just written a joke on the way over there that I thought was going to work. I'm reading through my jokes, I'm thinking about it, and nothing was sinking into my head. I might as well have been reading Swahili, because I didn't know, like I was just reading words, and it was just like, just flying out the side of my head. But right when it's time to, like, you gotta do or don't do, you get up there, you snap into it, and you kind of get over the initial nerves or whatever.
Yeah.
The scariest part about that place, though, is when right before you go on, you got to go off to the side, and you're waiting for the comedian in front of you to finish, and this is just a tunnel that you're looking down behind the stage. It's not a tunnel. It's a real tight tunnel, and it's a curtain, and you're just looking down this tube, and you're like, shit, what the hell am I doing up here? You're like people in the crowd looking at you like, you're gonna do great, and you're like, yeah, and at that moment, a couple times I'm like, I'm about to leave, but that person leaves, and you just walk up and you just get it done.
So, where you get the confidence to perform? Where'd that come from?
The confidence to perform. Well, I think it's from, you get the confidence to perform, I think, or you get the confidence to do comedy by the people in your life kind of always saying you're funny, you should do comedy, And I think a lot of it also comes from the way you look at things, intelligence, things like that, where like I try and see funny in everything, no matter what's happening. There's something funny about it, you know what I mean? And when you think that way, and then here's another thing, this is gonna sound messed up. When you go to an open mic or two and you see some of the people that go up there, they can give you confidence. Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that bad, right?
Can't be no worse than them.
Because you look at them and you're like, what the hell just happened up there? You know what I mean? Like somebody will come out there real nervous or whatever. It's not just the nerves though. It's like, what in God's name are you saying right now? But that kind of, somebody being bad can give you confidence to be good sometimes.
No doubt.
Then, sometimes, with that whole situation, you're like, do I want to do it? Do I not want to do it? And sometimes the regret lasts longer than anxiety. So, yeah.
With you having that confidence now, obviously we never start from that. So can you describe your first performance or your beginnings with comedy?
Yeah, so my beginnings with comedy actually began with Pride of Africa over here.
Oh, shout out.
Shout out.
We went to an open mic.
Yep.
And we saw what they were doing, and I was like, I want to do it. And I kind of said that day that I wanted to do it. And I went another time to Crown Station to see what that one was like, because I didn't feel comfortable just going up at the Comedy Zone, So I went there with Luke, the guy we work with, and decided next week I'm going to come back, I'm going to do it. Next week came, I didn't do it.
What about the next week?
Because I went with my wife, and I was like, I just don't feel comfortable about this. So the next week I went again, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. Standing there, I was scared, nervous, get a little liquid courage in you.
That always helps.
And you just kind of, you got to promise yourself when they call your name, just go up there and just do. It's 3 minutes. they give you 3 minutes or 5 minutes. You know what I mean? What's 3 minutes out of your
A
life?
long time when you're nervous.
Right?
when you're nervous, a long time.
Yeah, you have no idea.
So with that being said, when is the next time you plan on going back to the Comedy Zone to perform? Because I would love to see you live and in person.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna tomorrow. I'm actually gonna go to the Crown Station. I'm gonna go there tomorrow and just sign up, and because I got a couple things I was just thinking of that I thought were funny, and we'll see if other people think they're funny. But
Oh shit! I think Jack of all Spades might be there tomorrow. Then.
it will be fun, man. It would be fun. It's definitely it's a good time, if anything, you know.
Yeah, we actually was at Crown Station. We went what we thought was a regular party, but I ain't going to diverge too much of what kind of party it was. So we stayed for a total of 5 minutes. Then we had to go back. Probably not.
5 minutes.
You know, we just stayed at the door till the guy was like, "Hey, you guys coming in?" And it was like,
Yeah.
just wait it out for a second, then we leave.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was looking for the noodle bar.
So moving on with the questions. Who are the comedians that you looked up to growing up?
There was so many comedians that I loved when I was growing up. I would say my favorites when I was growing up was Eddie Murphy. I watched Raw more than any other comedy special in history. Dave Attell, he's a New York comic. He's a hilarious guy at that show Insomniac for a long time. Brian Regan is another comic. Not a lot of people know about him. Hugely successful guy, but he doesn't curse. He's a clean comic, and he's one of the funniest guys ever.
Sinbad.
Like a Sinbad, just like neon white.
Couple shades lighter, because Sinbad.
Couple shades lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but George Carlin, Richard Pryor, all those kind of people. And then like when I was younger, the funniest and best parts of my life was watching Def Comedy Jam.
Oh man!
Because
Shout out to them days.
Yeah, because I grew up in the days where like when you wanted to watch Def Comedy Jam, you watched it when it came on, and like every weekend I would just put it on. I'd be so excited to see somebody, and then just all those people that were on there, just killers.
Yo, for all the youngsters that are listening to the podcast right now, YouTube Def Comedy Jam. You'll learn something.
Right, so many people blew off of that. Yeah.
You wanna learn what confidence is? Watch Bernie Mac say, "I ain't scared of you, motherfuckers."
Rest in R.I.P. Bernie Mac. Man.
Yeah, that is the most confident person I've ever seen in my life. Yeah.
So you talked about the comedians that you looked up to. So where did your inspiration come for comedy? Your inspiration?
My inspiration comes from I think when I was younger, I had a lot of bad things happen to me during my life, and I'm not saying I had a bad childhood. I had a good one, but my mother always kind of made me feel like you got to look at things funny, laugh to keep from crying. You know what I mean? And I see things. I always see things in a funny way. You know what I mean? Like if somebody falls, it's funny. You know what I mean? But why did he fall? And was that even funnier? You know what I mean? And then just growing up with people that were constantly just breaking each other's balls, and just like you couldn't do anything without it just being a joke. I think you know that from work.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hold on, let's get some insight on that though. Like when y'all at work, what's some of the discussions that are being said? Like what's keeping the people laughing at work from Big Rich?
Well, I mean, I noticed little things. Like we'll be at work, and I remember one day I was in the middle of the counter. Ken and some other people to the left and some other people to the right. And everybody to my right was white. Everybody to my left was black. And Ken was all the way to the left. And I'm like, is this like a color gradient? Because it was like the whitest dude in the world on the left, all the way down to the African dude in the middle, the Puerto Rican guy in the middle. I'm like, was this some planned shit? Or are we just like, is this subconsciously how we feel? You know, and got a couple laughs out of that, you know. It's but little things like that. You see something like that, and you see funny in it. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You want me to ask you a question?
You should ask him a question.
How do you feel about doing podcasts, Ken?
It's smooth.
Is it though?
Yes.
all right. You
Smooth
know,
isn't the word I would use right now.
Truth be told, though, I'm gonna be real with you for a second. We first started this thing. I told Banks and I told DJ, you know, hey, I want to be behind the camera. I don't want to talk on the mic. I was avid like, hey, I want to be behind the camera, not talking on the mic. They're like, nah, you got to be in front of the camera. You got to talk on the mic. I'm getting used to it. Each podcast is a little easier. So I can't complain about that shit.
It's good to be part of the conversation, man.
Definitely.
We've come a long way from those demo days we did, right?
Definitely did. The mocks was crazy as hell.
I've listened to a couple of the podcasts though, and they're good. They're good. They flow.
We definitely appreciate that.
Here's the one thing I will say though. Being here.
You give him the compliment, then you hit him with the bullshit.
Yeah. That's.
You open it up with love.
That's that corporate speak.
That's the
that
setup.
corporate speak.
That's the setup. Here comes the
Yeah,
punchline.
Big Rich,
Nah.
mid-manager, look.
No. But what I did notice, and now it's weird though because I'm here and I see you guys. I can't tell. On a podcast form, one of you sounds like Common, and I think it's you.
I definitely appreciate that compliment.
Yeah, it's definitely you. It's definitely you.
Shout out.
Like any minute that walks by, I'm thinking I'm gonna hear. There are times to need someone.
Oh shit!
I didn't know the light was in it. Rest in peace, Jay Dilla.
Oh man, come on, shout out, Jay Dilla. Big Rich, what you from New York? What you know about Jay Dilla?
My man Rich though, he's big with music though.
Big in music.
Oh, we would definitely get along.
Yeah.
We would definitely get along.
Absolutely.
Especially with that shit, the dubstep scene.
Dubstep scene.
He's a dubstep.
Come on, man. Yo, so a friend of mine told me Diplo is coming to Charlotte.
He is.
For the was it the Gravediggers?
Yeah.
Gravediggers Ball.
Gravediggers Ball.
And I'm thinking I might go out there because I've seen Diplo one time in Charlotte. He had a Axe the Body Spray one night only event, neighborhood theater. Shout out. This was like a few years ago. So if Diplo's coming to Charlotte, I have to be there because that's my boy, man.
I met Diplo
Wesley
before.
Pence, yo, Philly's own.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I met him at a club in Brooklyn that he was DJing at one night, and this was like before he was Diplo.
Yeah.
This is when he used to make mixtapes.
Man, the mixtapes were crazy.
They were crazy because he would take one artist and just make a mixtape of like RJD2 was this one guy, and he would make a whole mixtape of RJD2 songs. And when I seen him, I was like, "Oh shit, that's Diplo." And I didn't realize how short he was, but yeah, no. Yeah.
Yo, when you're as big as you are, I'm sure everybody is short to you.
Money makes you a lot taller. Too.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, definitely sound like Common.
Yo, I appreciate that. To the ladies listening,
Exactly.
yeah, you already know what it is.
You
know the IG. Sliding them DMs.
Sliding them DMs. Yeah.
Getting back to the comedy questions, right?
Yes, sir.
To get back to what we were
I guess
saying.
we got a little off track.
That was the beauty of it, though. You know that shit flowed. But in your opinion, what makes a comedian funny?
What makes a comedian funny is at the core of what they're doing up there, they got to have something to say. They got to have something to say about a particular topic, and they got to look at things in a different way than everybody else sees them. And for it to be funny to other people is a lot of work involved. A lot of these comedians that you see, they're like, "Oh, that guy's funny. That guy's been in shitty club after shitty club for 25 years, trying the same joke out 77 different ways, and now it's funny." But you got to be able to find the funny, and you really got to be able to see things from that point of view. You know, like if Dave Chappelle sees something that's like racist or an injustice or something like that, he'll make it funny.
Yeah, he'll find layers.
He'll find a way to make it funny. He found a way to make Louis C.K. jerking off in front of people a funny thing, you know? And I guarantee you Louis C.K. was laughing at that shit, you know?
Facts.
Yeah.
So, damn, another party for I'm bad, bro. I'm over here coughing the mic left and right.
Yeah, can you cough again?
Please. So we can edit that shit out.
Now, since you just got into the, as far as talking about Chappelle making everything funny, and, you know, I just checked out his new special. What effects do you think cancel culture might have on a comedian?
Oh, my God. Well, see, here's what I think. Cancel culture is going to affect people like me that want to try bits out in local places like I do. People like Dave Chappelle, people like, I don't know if you saw Bill Burr's new special came out last night.
Nah, it's on my watch list.
Take a look at that if you want to see somebody about to get canceled. All right. That shit was hilarious, but he was like, he does not give a fuck. But people that are established comedians, it's I think they're going to be okay. But all you see in the news feeds on like Google and stuff like that is the negativity, is the negative reviews of things. Right. Like even there's a comedian, I don't know if you know, Sebastian Maniscalco, Italian comedian. He's hilarious. He's got 3 crazy good specials, and he just hosted the VMAs.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And and I guarantee you saw a negative article about it. Yeah, because he made a joke about if people are triggered and whatnot. He was like, if anybody's triggered, we got a safe space set up for you in the back with some blankies and some pillows, you know. But like, it was funny, but everybody there was like, oh my God, he went there, you know. But the cancel culture it's threatening comedy, but you know, it's one of those ebbs and flows, man. You know, people can only take this so far before it's like, I want to laugh, man.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
Has anybody even been completely canceled yet? Is that really
Well,
I think we just talk about it. We don't really.
Louis C.K. kind of got canceled.
Well, he jerked off in front of people.
Well, see, here's the thing. But the thing with that is, there's nuance to that stuff, man. You know what I mean? Like, he jerked off in front of people. He wasn't out like raping 50 women and all this kind of crazy stuff. And that's like the funny thing that like Dave Chappelle was bringing up. Basically, it was like, and a lot of other comedians talked about it. They're like, you know, he was like, hey, can I jerk off in front of you? And they were like, all right. And then he did it, and now it's a big problem. Which, I mean, of course it is. What he does is wrong, but should the guy never, ever be able to come back again? You know what I mean? There's a nuance, there's a level, there's misdemeanors and felonies. You know what I mean?
True that. But I think as this society, we love a comeback story.
Oh, absolutely.
But then with the cancel culture, like you were alluding to, it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't want to cancel people, but then we big up a comeback story.
Right. Exactly.
One thing is this though. Is it really a comeback story if you cancel somebody? Is that a comeback story?
I would say so.
I feel like a comeback story is like you strung out on drugs and you come back. It's a comeback story.
Like Big Rich say, it's nuances. Like there's so many
nuances.
levels. So
What if
many
Gatsby
levels.
had a comeback story?
Nah, I don't. He ain't coming back.
Gatsby ain't coming
He ain't
back.
coming back. I'm sorry.
Gatsby ain't coming back.
He ain't
Although
coming
I will
back.
say this, though. It doesn't negate the hours of killer material he had for years and the amazing TV show that goes down in history. That doesn't get negated, but he ain't coming back. You know, I mean, when you just
Cliff Hustable's gone, bro.
fucking half dead people, we got a problem.
Wait. I want to go back to something real quick. We need something about what makes a comedian funny. Now, who are comedians in your opinion who are not funny?
Who are not funny?
In your opinion,
Talk about it.
I want to hear it.
All right. Hannah Gatsby. You know who that is?
I have no damn clue who that is.
If you go on Google and you search funniest specials on Netflix, a ton of the tops will say check out Nanette from Hannah Gatsby. I don't think Hannah Gatsby is a comedian. I think she's not a social justice warrior, but she's a social commentary person. You know, and a social commentator, I should say. And people are always bigging up her special because she brings up a lot of things, a lot of issues, a lot of social cultural things like that. But I don't think it's funny. So I don't think that should be listed as one of the best specials on Netflix. You know what I mean? And there's there's other people I don't think are very funny. There's what was his name?
Gary Owen.
Gary Owen. I think he's actually, and I'm not saying I don't think Gary Owen's funny. I think Gary Owen's really funny.
Speak the truth.
I think he's a really good comedian. He can make a lot of things funny, but he can do other things. He can make other things funny than just the fact that he has a black wife and mixed kids and hey, this is my shtick. Everything's about like me being down with African American culture and this and that and wearing Tupac shirts and all that stuff. It's like, bro, we get it. All right, you know what I'm saying? Like you could do other things, man. You could talk. There's other parts of life than just your race. You know.
All right, so there's two that come to mind because I try to keep my hand in different cookie jars. So I'm gonna give you two comedians that a lot of people, like the masses, have co-signed on, and I want to get your thoughts on them.
Okay.
So I want to make sure I get his first name right. I think it's Anthony, but Jeselnik.
Jeselnik.
Yeah, Jeselnik.
Anthony Jeselnik.
Yeah, what do you think about him?
I think Anthony Jeselnik is hilarious.
Well, good. Okay, because I hear a lot of people talking about him.
I think Anthony Jeselnik is hilarious, and I think he's one of the best misdirection comics I've ever seen in my life. If you don't know what a misdirect is where you start a joke off and you say, hey, this, and this, and then I say this last thing, and you think that's the punchline, but it's not, and then you turn it on its end. You turn it on its end. That's a misdirect. And all of his jokes are misdirects. Not all of them, but a lot of them are either misdirects or stories. He is by far the best one to ever walk the planet, as far as I'm concerned. As with misdirects.
I want to shout out Sirius XM Radio, because when I had it, Comedy Central channel, like I would always find myself being on there and learning about new comedians. Then this next one, he's more mainstream, but I found his show to be funny. Like before he even had a show on Comedy Central, his stand-ups would always have me dying in the car. But the boy, oh my God, don't let me do this right now.
Daniel Tosh.
How did look? Big Rich is a mind reader. Big Rich is a mind reader, ladies and gentlemen.
Because his show is one of the funniest shows that ever existed.
I'm glad you agree with that, because even though he's a white boy, that boy is funny.
He's hilarious. He's not afraid to say stuff, and he's very, very funny, and he's a really good stand-up. I don't know if you've ever seen his stand-up.
Oh yeah,
his stand-up is great. He's a great comedian. He's a great comedian. He's one of the only comedians that I see that could take his style of stand-up and translate it to a TV show, and a quick one at that, because he's always looking at clips and all that stuff, because he's that funny. He's got that much in him.
Yo, for me, like, of course, I'm not a white male, but to me, he has crossover kind of
absolutely
tendencies. Like he can make a black person laugh with the quickness, because just of the content.
Funny's funny, man. You know what I'm saying? Funny's funny. And if you can't laugh at a bunch of different things, I feel bad for you. You know what I mean? Because like there are, like I said, that guy Brian Regan that I really liked. You know, like he's like white redheaded guy who doesn't curse. One of the funniest specials in the world. You know, he's got a couple of the funniest specials in the world. But if you can't laugh at it just because he's white, or if you can't laugh at Bernie Mac because he's black, there's something wrong with you. Yeah. You know, and if that's your thing, I get it. You know, but I mean, you're missing out on a lot of life, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm saying humor. You know, comedy knows no color. I mean, there's
absolutely
comedians in every different
and
spectrum.
If you go to an open mic night, if you go to a comedy club that doesn't have a headliner that night, and you watch the people that come up, there's a white guy, then a black girl, then an Indian lady, then a Spanish dude. Like everybody wants to just be funny to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, and that's where like you don't want to just be like, oh, I'm a white comedian. Like Dennis Miller kind of turned into like, I want to be a comedian for Republicans, and Bill Maher's like, I just want to be the lefty comedian and all that stuff. And just this is my audience. If you can't be funny in front of everybody, you might as well drop the mic, man.
True that. All right, so one of our favorite segments here on Jack of All Spades is Top 5 Dead or Alive. So since we got a comedian in the building, we want to know, what's your top 5 Dead or Alive GOATs of comedian? Your Mount Rushmore of comedians, Big Rich.
All right, I was thinking about this last night. I was thinking about like if you guys would ask me something like this. This is real hard for me to say because I love so many comics, but George Carlin, Eddie Murphy, Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, and Louis C.K.
So of course we want to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Why those individuals?
Okay. George Carlin, and one thing I'll say about all these people, and you'll probably hear me say it a lot, is George Carlin is one of the most prolific comics I've ever seen in my life. He has, I think, 14-hour-long specials. He did a special every year. That is unheard of. That's out of control to be able to come up with that much material that fast. And if you ever watch one of his specials, it's not just funny, it's insightful. And you'll see stuff now that he said in 94 that is like, wow, he was right back then. You know what I mean? And he was brilliant, he was smart, and he was funny. And that's why George Carlin is one of my favorite comics. And he went through the ringer, man. He was addicted to drugs. He was, and then he still came out and killed it every time he went out. Eddie Murphy is that Delirious and Raw, those two specials. He was in his mid-20s. You know what I mean? He was 19 years old out there doing comedy, destroying rooms. And he was like it seemed to be one of the most fearless people I've ever seen in my life. And his comedy is still funny now. You put on Raw now, you'll die for an hour and 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? You'll die for an hour and 20 minutes because Raw is still that funny. And I can't. He's supposedly thinking about making a comeback, and
I was just about to say, I heard he's got to deal with Netflix coming out soon.
He's got to deal with Netflix, and if he decides to do any club around here, I'm gonna be at that place every show he's at. Louis C.K. again he's one of the most prolific. He's an artist. He was really not scared to say anything. And it's if you watch his last special that's on Netflix, it's called 2017 by Louis C.K. The beginning part of it is like, how in God's name can a guy start a special like this? And he did it, and he made it funny. Basically, I'm not doing his jokes, but he came out and was like, so abortion, and like that's the first two words he said. And then like people were like, whoa, he's like, here's what I think. Here's what I think. And then he went like into a whole like bit about abortion, which is touchy subject, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he killed it. Dave Chappelle I've seen Dave Chappelle live 4 times. I've seen him live one time at the Comedy Cellar in New York when he wasn't supposed to be there. He just went up for at least an hour and a half, destroying the room left and right. He is an endless amount of material that he could spit out, and it's always funny. And then the other one is Bill Burr. There's a clip I want everybody out there to go look up. It's there's 2 clips actually. One is Bill Burr in Philadelphia when he was getting booed. He was at this one place, he was getting booed, and he went off on the crowd and ended up at the end of it, they were cheering for him. All right, it is one of the most miraculous things you'll ever see. It's hilarious. And there's also a bit I want you to look up. It says that there's no reason to hit a woman.
And I was just like, really? I could give
Because
you like
it's
17
really,
right off the
really
top of my head.
And you'll see Bill Burr's whole thing
If
if you just watch that one.
Just don't do it.
So going back, you just talked about Chappelle. So did you listen to Prime Chappelle, or this is Chappelle in recent years?
Recent years, I've watched all his like newest specials at least 3-4 times each. I've seen him live a couple times, like I said, and his past specials. Strangely enough, though, with him, I used to watch this Chappelle show, but I didn't watch that as much as I watched his stand-up because I thought his stand-up was even better than the show. And when he left for that period of time and then came back off that hiatus, and he dropped 2-hour-long specials in like one shot, and then the next year dropped another one. That is unbelievable for anybody to be able to do that. And
residency in New York, didn't he?
well, yeah, not Dave Chappelle is the kind of guy, he can go to any club, anytime, at any point, and bump anybody that's on, and do however much time he wants. That's the kind of guy he is. Like, he could just go anywhere.
Boy got clout. I mean, he's
right.
a vet.
He's freaking Dave Chappelle. Mount Rushmore, absolutely.
All right, so the last episode we had hot girl expert. We had a hot girl expert. So since we got Big Rich, matter of fact, Big Rich, shout out your IG for the people.
Oh, it's Big Rich 872.
Hey, there you have it. So what about some female comedians? If we're gonna be inclusive, comedy knows no gender, knows no race, knows no religion. So what are some female comedians that you would say that have caught your eye that people should be looking out for?
For sure. There's newer ones is Fortune Femster. She's got she's on Netflix I think it's called The Stand-Ups. She's really funny. You just go check her out. Fortune Femster. There's Sarah Silverman is
she's been going through some controversy though, like with the whole blackface
with the
thing.
blackface thing. No, and I get it, and but like I said, if you read the story, there's nuance to it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and that's more cancel culture. You know what I'm saying?
True that.
See, here's the thing. I like Whitney Cummings, but I think she could do better because I think she's that good a comic. There's a girl condescending prick. All right, yeah,
so misogynistic.
Yeah, so misogynistic. Yeah, there's some broad on Netflix. Her name is Beth Stelling, and she's got a half-hour special on Netflix. I think it's on the stand-ups as well. Check her out. She's hilarious. She's really, really funny. I'm trying to think of it. Have you ever heard of Miss Pat? My God, all right. So here's the deal. since we're on a podcast, go watch Joe Rogan's podcast that has Miss Pat on it. She is. I've never seen somebody make Joe Rogan laugh so hard other than Joey Diaz, and she is that funny, and her life story is unbelievable. She's actually got a book she wrote. She's a I think how old she is. She's probably in her early 40s. Black lady. She's from I think Georgia. I think she lives in Atlanta now. She might be one of the funniest people I've ever heard in my life.
Oh,
yeah, Miss Pat. Miss Pat. Yep. Check her out. She has a crazy life story. She got shot in the titty and shit. She's crazy. But Miss Pat for sure.
Shit, so I heard your top 5 off your Rushmont more. I heard who you think is funny. And then throughout them guys, I didn't hear you say Kevin Hart.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Kevin Hart?
I love Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart.
And that's the thing. That with like the top 5 and like the people that influence me.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, it's hard to say because there's so many comics that I love. Like there's comics that died that I love. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of Mitch Hedberg. There's a lot of these people that nobody really knows because he died from heroin overdose a long time ago. Mitch Hedberg, Greg Giraldo, all these people, they deserve a shout out. Jim Gaffigan, but Kevin Hart is hilarious. I've never heard my wife laugh harder than anybody than Kevin Hart, and I love all his specials. I really do. I would love to be able to get the chance, and this is like a selfish kind of thing. I'd love to be able to get the chance to see Kevin Hart perform at like a comedy club. Like I don't want to go to the Spectrum Center to see Kevin Hart.
You want to see the raw, realness.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I want to see him at the Comedy Zone with 200 people in front of him working out material. You know what I mean? But I think he's one of the greats. Absolutely, I love Kevin Hart, and all that controversy shit that came out with him too, the cancel culture.
Well, they try to cancel, but that shit didn't happen.
You can't stop greatness.
Yeah, try to cancel one of the most prolific, unbelievably nice people on planet Earth.
Shit.
You know,
add on top of that, one of the most hardworking
person
in Hollywood.
Yeah, no
Dude,
question.
He makes me want to rethink my life. Him and The Rock and like all these guys. It's just like, wait, you just finished working out, now you're getting on a plane to go to Hawaii to go do this 5-minute movie scene? No, I can't do that. I had a hard enough time coming here.
But you came early though, so
I came early. I did.
I appreciate that.
Yes, because I was trying to get away from my kids.
Look, you was here earlier than YBB, so
He was. Hey, you know what? Hey, I want to go ahead and go back because my man, he's a music head to the realest though.
Yeah.
So I know you like dubstep. What's the other shit you trying to give him to go to? The other thing you trying to give him to go with the lights and.
It was a rave.
No, not a rave. It was something else. What was it?
That thing I showed you, that one?
Yeah.
Well, that was actually a dubstep show. That was.
It was.
It was Skrillex. Yeah.
Skrillex. Okay.
Nah,
I
don't know about Skrillex.
Nothing about it.
Hey, so I know we talked about Diplo earlier. So you know Jack U.
Of course.
Come on, man. Look,
Skrillex.
So
and
me and Big Rich just became best friends.
Yep, they put Justin Bieber on the map with that.
Hey, that was a big tune though.
That was no joke.
That was a big tune. What about Aluna George? Are you familiar with her?
Aluna George, I don't know. No.
Oh,
no,
man.
I'm happy to find out about it though.
So she's a UK artist, but she's got a track on that Jack U album too. I think it's called To You. But yeah, that's big tune. Big tune.
I love EDM. I love electronic dance music. I used, like I was telling your boy here. I used to make them. I used to make electronic music.
Really?
Yeah, and more like old school hip hop beats and stuff like that. But because I'm like my taste kind of went from 90s hip hop to electronic / like metal. And then now more into just like electronic type of music because
everything's like a fusion now.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's
so
a fusion now.
You might as well bring it back.
Like a lot of the hip hop that's out now. I'm like,
yeah, I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
I'm like, bruh, like something like they're like, this track is fire. I'm like, that dude sounds like he's in a coma. What the fuck are you talking? Fire?
No lyrics, no storytelling,
no storytelling.
I don't want to be biased.
That sounds like a 7-year-old freestyle from '94. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it is now.
As long as the beat is fire.
Yeah, that's it.
As long as
you got an 808 and 16th notes hi-hats, you straight.
Yeah, man.
You know?
So you would definitely like the grime music, like the UK sound. They got the 140 beats per
140
but they
BPMs,
rapping
man,
over that like. I'm always been a big fan of house music too.
Oh, I love house music.
So let me ask you about this. What about Disclosure?
Oh, I love Disclosure. They put Sam Smith on the map.
Man,
you know?
they did, but that whole album was dope though. Like I don't get a chance to talk about it a lot, but Settle.
Yeah,
that was a good album.
It was a great album. They're out of control. I feel like they're a not a modern day, but like they're the kind of group like they can make stuff and then have all these features on it and make unbelievable things. And there's a group back in the day I wish would have done that more is Daft Punk.
Oh man,
Daft Punk, yeah.
If Daft Punk would have had more like features with artists and stuff like that, I think they would have been even bigger. But
they got a big sound back then. Like the scene back then. I'm thinking of a club in Miami that we didn't get a chance to go to when we went way back when. But I think it was called, I forgot what it was, but it was all like dubstep, all trance, like the early versions.
Early
like,
trance.
Yeah.
I used to DJ back in the day. I still got my turntables at home. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I got 2 Technique 1200s. Vestax mixer. The whole
could have
deal.
used you a couple Sundays ago. We did that kickball tournament, yo.
Oh, is that the one we was talking about? Fucking scratching your balls and scratching your titties?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I had a good 6-7 minutes of stand up on that at the work at job.
Hold on, did you catch the promo video though?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, go ahead, give it to us live. Give it to us live.
We were watching that at work, and I was just I was going in on you. It was going so deep. Yeah. That kick at the end was rough too.
He did it like 4 times.
He looked like
man, what? That's information I didn't even know.
Yeah, he looked like he was trying to kick a field goal with a golf club. It was like,
yo, shout out to Everest College for the inspiration.
Shout out.
That's what's up. Yeah. But yeah, no, I love all kinds of music, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like even like back in the day, like old soul, and disco, and all that kind of stuff. And,
see, I ain't too hip on it. The
oh
disco.
my god, bro! It'll bring a whole new world into your life, bro.
I'm sure it will. When you're not used to something, everything's gonna be like, oh shit,
like, oh shit, what was that? Yeah.
Ooh, I just thought of something. So this comedy shit, right? What's the goal for you? Like, what you wanna accomplish? Like, where you wanna? At the end of the day, with the comedy, what's gonna make you say, "Hey, I accomplished this," or "I did what I wanted to do"?
Right, and that's the thing. I'm at the point in my life now, man. I'm 41 years old. Got a family. I work at Avis Rent-A-Car.
Shout out
to Avis Rent-A-Car. If you need some wheels, let me do a walk up so I can make some money. So I, there's no real goal for me right now. It's just it's something fun to do. I like making people laugh. I like bringing my take to whatever the thing. Whatever the subject is. I want to talk about my family. I want to talk about how I love my kids, but I don't like them. I want to talk. I want to talk about how like these are like all like parts of like things, jokes that I think about is like like that every time I go to sit down, I feel somebody screaming my name to go help them. It's like there's a fucking alarm on my ass. You know what I mean? But like I want to tell people about this stuff so I don't go insane.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay sane, fellas. All right, that's why I'm drinking Captain Morgan right now. And
shout out
to Captain Morgan. Get that leg up.
Yeah. We would love to have you as a sponsor, Captain.
Exactly. Yep. Make it happen, Captain. But yeah. So there's no end goal for me. That kind of takes some pressure off me and also makes me feel good about it. Is because I'm not and I feel for these guys that are 20 some odd years old going out there to comedy clubs. Like I haven't done anything for the past 5 years. I've just been doing comedy, and I have to make this my living. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't have to. Be nice if it can. If people thought I was funny and I got spots and got to become a big famous comic, that'd be great. But there's no real end goal. It's just to make people laugh when I'm standing there, man. That's really it.
Now you spoke key about it, like when you said in joking to keep your sanity, but it's like you go to work, you got to deal with your family, but you got to have something for yourself. Like I'm sure, like Banks was alluding to, that's therapeutic when you're on that stage and you're able to just vent and just get it out, and to have people laugh at what you're giving them. It's kind of like a ego boost. Like, yeah, I made that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like therapy, man. It's like I got to get this off my chest. I hate everybody in my house, but like, but that's kind of, you know, that's exactly what it's like. It's like, you know, it's just I need to go somewhere and do something and tell people about my life. See if anybody else can relate. You know what I mean? You know.
And that's the thing, man. Like I've referenced this in many podcasts we've had before, but connecting the dots. Yeah. You a 41-year-old Puerto Rican man from New York.
Yes, sir.
You telling your story, somebody, a Southern person from Charlotte, North Carolina, if not somewhere else, can connect and say, you know what, I've had that same experience, or I feel what you're saying. Like that brings us together. Like that's what it's all about.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's everybody's connected. There's a common thread with everybody.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. There's a common thread with everybody.
I believe that as well.
And there's a way to find funny in everything. There's a way to make people laugh. I mean, and the thing with comedy in general is just, you know, we want to feel the love. We want you to laugh. We want to feel it, but we want you to hear what we're saying and actually relate. And give us that laugh. We want an involuntary response from you, like, "Oh shit, he's not kidding." I'm like 100%. You know what I mean? That's what we want because it makes us feel good. It makes us feel better about ourselves. You know, like, am I fucking nuts or do you hate these kids? You know, like, you know what I'm saying? That we want to know that you can relate.
Shit, what I heard from you just now is you want that ugly laugh, like you said, that involuntary laugh. You want somebody making an ugly face with the most unattractive laugh. Like that's what you're going for.
I want a mother of four to be like, I hate him too.
Preach.
Yeah, preach. Fuck them. I'm out. I'm drinking right now. Exactly. That's 100%.
But we all need an escape though. Like whatever it is. Like not to say that we need to escape from our own lives, but you gotta have something for yourself. Like you gotta have some time. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
100%, man. 100%. And back in the day, it used to be making beats. Used to be making music. I would, you know, mess around in my house and make music and all that stuff. It got to the point where every time I would go out and make music, one of my kids would be in the room and I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, and it became a pain in the butt. And then I started getting into cologne, real deep.
Hey, he's a cologne plug. He got me on cologne like crazy.
I do.
Before
I got like 200 bottles of cologne in my house.
I was never doing cologne. He was bringing samples of work.
Time out.
Wait.
You heard why BB just said he never did cologne, so
No,
that boy was
I'm
stinking.
dead ass for real. Nah, I had of course you got the degree. You know what I'm saying?
That's that Dow soap. Irish Spring in that.
Rich would come to the job, his whole pouch, his whole kit, samples. I'm like, okay.
That's that New York
No
hustle.
homo, he smelled good as fuck. He was smelling good. So I'm like, hey, you smell good. So I'm like, what you got on today? He told me, hey, I got Imperial on today. So okay, cool. Let me get a little, a 10 mil?
10 mil sample.
You send a 10 mil sample, like $10 for 10 mil? I want to get a little sample and go ahead buy the big bottle. I need to stop buying the big bottle retail though and get it from him. He get a discount for it.
I got the deals.
He got the deals, but yeah.
They be taxing.
But yeah, like I got so many bottles of cologne in my house.
So many.
And it just like it became a thing. It became a hobby. You know, it's something to do. You know, get me away from my family.
That's the common thread. Get away from the family.
And let me say this: I love my family. I love my kids. I love my wife.
For the record, right?
Baby, if you're listening, I love you so much. But you need space, man. Sometimes you need to just you need to be the hunter.
Yeah.
You know, you need to go out and go get the deer for the family and just enjoy the hunt.
Yeah.
You know.
No doubt. Well, shoot, Big Rich, we appreciate you coming on, sharing some of your story, making us laugh. So, like he said, tomorrow, Crown Station. What's the time on that?
The open mic starts at 8:00, and we're gonna. It usually goes till about 11 o'clock at night, and then we'll just go there, have some drinks, hang out, watch some comics.
As I'm asking you this question, I'm thinking when we're gonna release this. So by the time we release this shit, that should be long over.
Yeah.
So
we'll just give them another day for this.
So if you're listening right now, you fucked up.
I wish we were streaming at the moment, because then you would know to be there tomorrow. But
this shit is still in Logic.
It'll be there forevermore.
But yeah, every week though at Crown Station on Wednesdays is a good time. There's actually, I want to give a shout out. There's a guy who basically runs the Crown Station open mic, and he's a comic in Charlotte. He's basically starting the scene by himself. His name's Brian O'Neill.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Brian O'Neill. His name, his Instagram's I am Brian O'Neill, and he's basically he's making a whole comedy scene right now in Charlotte, and propping it all up. And he's young dude, and he's killing it. Give him some love.
Yo, I am Brian O'Neal.
Yeah.
Make sure you follow. That's IG.
IG.
All
I
right,
am
so
Brian
you already
O'Neal.
know.
Yep.
Jack of all spades, CLT.
Yep.
Big Rich.
I'm in.
Come on now. So it's about that time. We got other shit to do. We entertained y'all for a little bit, but now
something.
we got shit to do. As always, the beloved one, DJ Spellman.
Is there Banks in the building?
Proud of Africa in the building as well.
Big Rich.
Never forget, we got Boog too. Scat Pack.
Boogie Boog.
Get it? All right, so like, listen, subscribe, share. Jack of all spades CLT. You can follow us on IG. You can also go to anchor.fm/Jack of all spades to listen to all streaming platforms. We're on Google Play. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on Breaker. We're on shit I've never even heard of, but we're there.
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, of course. But
Google Play.
look, like all good things, we must come to an end. We'll holler at y'all the next one.
Peace.
Peace.